परिवार की ओर से हम इस इवेंट में आपका हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं। सुबह से लेकर शाम तक अवार्ड सेरेमनी तक विभिन्न सेशंस के साथ में हम इस समिट को जारी रखेंगे और सामाजिक क्षेत्र में जो भी उपक्रम है, जो भी तकनीकी व्यवस्था का उपयोग किया जा रहा है, उस पर चर्चा की जाएगी और आशा है कि वो चर्चा कई मूलभूत फायदे हमारे तंत्र में हमें पहुंचाएगी ये सब चर्चा और we will come out with various good outcomes from this session. So to start with, I'll now invite our eminent guests on stage for the inaugural session, which will be themed on the backbone of the Indian economy, public sector undertakings. For that, I first invite our guest, Shri Anil Srivastav, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation and Chairman cum Managing Director, Pomerantz Limited on stage. Sir, we invite you on the stage, please. Then we invite Shri S.K. Tripathi, Chairman and Managing Director, MSTC Limited. We invite Dr. Yuli Chaube, Director General, SCO. We proudly invite Shri Sayyadin Abbasi, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Steel, Government of India on stage. Sir, we welcome you on stage. We also invite Shri B. Surendra Mohan, Chairman and Managing Director, Navali Lignite Corporation Limited. We invite Ma'am Neeru Abrol, Chairman and Managing Director, National Fertilizers Limited. We invite Mr. Ganga Kumar, Managing Director, Bihar State Building Construction Department. He's reaching shortly. Then I'll invite Mr. A.K. Jain, Managing Director, Rajasthan Electronics Instrument Limited. Sir, please come on stage. I also invite our President of elets Technomedia Private Limited, Dr. M.P. Narayanan on stage. I request Dr. Ravi Gupta, CEO elets Technomedia Private Limited, to present bouquets to our guests. A round of applause for our speakers, our eminent guests in inaugural session. Now I request our guests to light up the lamp for formally inaugurating the PSU Summit 2014.
टूटे हुए तारों से फूटे बसंती स्वर, पत्थर की छाती में उगाया ना अंकुर, प्राची में अरुणिम देख पाता हूँ, गीत नया गाता हूँ। हार नहीं मानूंगा, रार नहीं ठानूंगा, काल के कपाल पर लिखता मिटाता हूँ, गीत नया गाता हूँ। पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री आदरणीय श्री अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी की ये पंक्तियां ज्वलंत उदाहरण है कि नई सरकार, नए प्रधानमंत्री और नए नेतृत्व में ये जो सामाजिक क्षेत्र के उपक्रम है, इनका भी एक नया अध्याय लिखा जा रहा है, एक नई सोच पैदा की जा रही है और एक नया गीत गाया जा रहा है। इस नव निर्माण की अनुभूति हम इस पूरे PSU समिट 2014 में करेंगे और इसके साथ नाउ आई इनवाइट the person who is an eminent administrator and a technocrat with a long and successful innings behind him holding important official positions. He is the person who believes in creativity in work, practices interdisciplinary approach in decision making and is rooted in Indian tradition and culture. A person always in quest for excellence. I invite Dr. M.P. Narayanan, former Chairman Coal India and Chairman elets Techno Media Private Limited, to give a welcome address. Sir.
Distinguished delegates to this all-important conference, what we call it the PSU Summit. I am indeed delighted to see anybody who is somebody connected at various levels of the public sector undertakings present here today. Most of the luminaries sitting on the dais are well known. For example, Dr. U.D. Chaubey, Director General Co. I mean, he coordinates the entire public sector activities. And hearty welcome to you, Mr. Chaubey. We have Mr. Tripathi again, who is the Chairman Managing Director of MSTC. And MSTC has done not only economically well, but has diversified its activities. Instead of simply dealing with scrap, etc., we have Mr. Anil Srivatsal, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation, and he is also Chairman of the Pawan Hans. Most of you, if you are really keen to visit Kedarnath or Vaishnavi Devi, better we get in touch with him. That is the main thing. Mr. Abbasi is the Joint Secretary, Ministry of Steel, which is one of the key ministries controlling key public sector undertakings, the Steel Authority of India. My friend B. Surendra Mohan, I mean, I have an added attachment to him. He is heading Navy Liquid Corporation, which I had the privilege to head earlier, and now he, during his tenure, has been expanding the activities like anything, getting into joint ventures with Tamil Nadu Electricity Board. It is no longer lignite. He also has penetrated into the coal sector, a thermal station in UP, and all those things. So, hearty greetings and welcome to Surendra Mohan. The Madam Nehru Abroad of National Fertilizer is one of the very important fertilizer group, and nowadays when you find a lady chief executive selected, everybody just blinks the eyes twice, thrice before looking at it. Yeah, that she is proving herself. National Fertilizer is one of the leading public sector company, and we have Mr. J. Rajasthan Electronics Limited. And, at the outset, sir, madam, to all of you a very, very hearty welcome, a warm welcome. I just wanted to only share with you a few words on public sector. Why this public sector summit? What is something new about it? Let me tell you that The public sector has formed the core of the Indian economy, the economic growth ever since independence. Notwithstanding the fact that quite a few people used to derive vicarious satisfaction in criticizing some of the public sectors here and there. You should understand one thing, there is no lack of competence in public sector. Mr. Chaudhary should certify because he's dealing with 240 of them. There is no doubt. We have our own hands tied up by various procedures, systems. There are a couple of joint secretaries to whom also I am addressing this particular one. And the less the government interferes with the functioning of the public sectors, the better will be their performance. This is all what I would say. Empower the board, trust them. Take your own time to select the best of people. But having selected them, this is what there is nobody here in Tamil will understand, that what is stated by great saint Valluvar in Tirukkural. Select a man, take your own time, and if you select him, having selected, allow him to function. And already public sectors are doing well, and I am very confident. I am one of the committed supporter of the public sector. Give them a level playing field. That's all. Give them a level field. No favors given. Give them a level playing field. That's all. Welcome to you, Mr. Dada Kumar. That's fine. And I'm sure all of you will take adequate interest in the proceedings. At the end of the day, we have a new government, a new Prime Minister. I mean, I should be in a position to send him in 1,000 words on his personal ID. What we have ultimately concluded. A few recommendations, that's what I wanted to tell him that. And once again, hearty welcome all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all very much for these words of inspiration. For your information, we have Mr. Ganga Kumar with us, Managing Director of Bihar State Building Construction Department. And now I invite a person who is consistent in his efforts in creating awareness and knowledge exchange in various sectors, whether PSU, banking, IT, and is like on 24 hours on the job of giving something to society. Our CEO, elets Technomedia Private Limited CEO, Editor-in-Chief, eGov Magazine, Dr. Ravi Gupta. Sir, I invite you for a welcome address.
Thank you and welcome you all for the PSU Summit of Elets. This event is all about how IT and overall technology can help the PSU increasing the efficiencies. So, as you have the agenda in your hand, you can see that we have sessions which are around all sectors of the PSU, from aviation to mining to power to transport to railways. And before we start the whole session of the PSUs and have the eminent speakers on the stage speak, a brief intro about elets, the people behind this event, and what are the aims and objectives of this event itself. So elets is around the PPT on page. Elets is about promoting ICTs, ideas and innovations for nation building. And elets has been in this endeavor for more than a decade now. The objective is to highlight the invaluable contributions of the PSUs for the Indian society in general and the Indian economy in a larger sense. Our journey, a brief history of ours. We are the India's leading publishers of the eGov magazine, perhaps Asia's only magazine on e-governance, digital learning, another focus on IT in education, with IT in health, another monthly flagship of ours, and ICE Connect, which is about infrastructure, construction and engineering, which relate to many of the PSUs here. And also, we have portals on all these subjects on e-governance, education, health, and infrastructure, construction, and engineering. And we have been organizing knowledge dissemination workshops and conferences all across India. And a small glimpse is all here. It's about having a e-Maharashtra, about having a e-knowledge exchange in Kashmir. Honorable CM was there. Our flagship event, e-India, for 10 years now, all across India, we have heading up. And we have been doing a conference called Financial Inclusion and Payment Systems, which is about IT in the banking sector for last year. And Dr. Rajan inaugurated the first event, and the next event is just next month in Delhi. And we did e-Uttar Pradesh, we did e-Odisha, e-Haryana, e-Bihar, e-Jharkhand, and conference like Sector IT, which is about IT security in the government, cloud events, like how can cloud help the government departments, smart city event recently held in Delhi itself, and knowledge exchange in Lonavala. So this is a brief glimpse of our activities, and the journey continues, and our endeavor is to promote usage of ICT in each and every sphere of the government. And with that focus, we have organized this PSU Summit, where we are having the eminent presence of dignitaries on the dais, and across the whole day we have eminent speakers. So I welcome you all again at elets PSU Summit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I invite a person under whose leadership today Pawan Hans, a PSU, has grown into one of Asia's largest helicopter company that maintains and operates by offering wide range of services to its clients through its fleet of around 47 helicopters, if I'm not wrong. I get the pleasure to invite Shri Anil Srivastav, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation and Chairman cum Managing Director of Pawan Hans Limited, on stage. So.
I'll certainly try, Mr. Narayanan. Dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, friends, representatives from the media, a very warm and good morning to all of you. Elets needs to be complimented for organizing this summit on PSU. And I have been attending their programs off and on, seeing their activities and seeing the role which Ravi and his team under the leadership of Mr. Narayanan is making. And I'm happy to be here with you and share some of the experiences. Well, friends, it's an extremely relevant initiative, and as it was said, with the changed environment, I don't know whether I should be speaking in English or in Hindi. मैं धारा प्रवाह हिंदी भी बोल सकता हूँ और धारा प्रवाह इंग्लिश भी बोल सकता हूँ. I'll try to mix both, as the person who is comparing the program was trying to do. So what I was saying, that it's extremely relevant at this juncture to take a look what the PSUs are doing, have been doing, and then giving some encouragement to the PSUs who have done a good job. And I must congratulate, rather I must compliment the PSUs who are in the winning category. Friends, I'll share my experiences of the last nearly a little less than 2 decades over my journey in the administration, in the public life, and which is also coupled with the distinct with the public sector undertakings, whether it's state government or the government of India. Now, one thing I must say when I saw this program and the contents, the topics which have been chosen for various sessions are extremely relevant. Now, this session on which my colleagues and I myself would be contributing a little bit about PSU's role, their role in the economy, and the role which they are playing, why they are called the backbone, and opportunities and challenges. But then some of the other 3-4 topics which have been chosen are extremely relevant: leveraging information technology for boosting efficiency, PSUs in inclusive growth, connecting India, and mining the power. So all the 4 have been very well chosen subjects, and I find that, as a CEO and being in the government, all the things are very relevant, and probably what I would be speaking would be covering a little bit of all 3 or 4 issues which are mentioned here. Why PSU the backbone of the economy, and what is the opportunities and challenges? Friends, a lot has been said, and Mr. Chaubey certainly would be giving the statistics and the details as to what PSUs, out of 240 PSUs, how many of them are in profits, how many of them are losses, how much dividends they are contributing, said to be nearly more than 1.5 lakh crores per annum, and then what is their share in the national economy in terms of the GDP, said to be nearly 20%, the kind of employment which the PSUs are offering, nearly I think 5% or something. I mean, I may not be very correct with my figure, but whatever is coming to my hat, I am just throwing it out. So with those kind of things, the role of the PSUs, but what I see is that last 2 decades the role has changed and is being is changing with the times, and I am very happy to see that with the current dispensation, the PSUs have become more and more professional and more business-like. The issue is that why should they not be? I strongly feel that running a PSU, managing a PSU is much more difficult than probably a company or a corporate which is in the single hand or with the single objective of the profit maximization. That's what we have been told in our business schools. Well, it is also, goes back to one of the old saying that if you are working with a single purpose, with a single objective, then you can manage things better. But as it is said in Hindi, एक है साध है सब सद है. तो अगर एक चीज साधनी है तो फिर जो है सब चीज सज जाएगी. बट यहाँ पे ये होता है कि आपको इतनी सारी चीजें साधनी पड़ती हैं कि मेरे कोलीग जो यहाँ पे डिफरेंट PSUs को हैंडल कर रहे हैं वो जानते हैं कि सारी चीजों को किस तरीके से साधने में प्रॉब्लम या क्या उनको फेस करना पड़ता है. प्रश्न ये है फ्रेंड्स, क्वेश्चन इज दैट व्हाई आर द बैकबोन ऑफ the economy? Rather, I would say that PSUs are the kind of the backbone of the society, not only the economy. They have been over the years set up the standards in the social life, whether it is in a city, in a town, and up to now that the economy has grown, things have reached to a level where we do not give that kind of, because the economy has grown, the places have grown, the city has grown. But if you recollect, there are still towns which are known for the PSU being there in those locations. I have worked in Bhopal for a long number of years, but Bhopal was once upon a time BHEL Bhopal was a very prominent part of the Bhopal at one point of time. So try to recollect those things, Bokaro, whether it's and likewise the other places. Well, of course, there are corporates who have also played their role, like Jamshedpur or Tata Nagar, but there are very few, and those places are come up. Now, had Guna not been chosen, particularly the Vijay Raghavar has not been chosen as the headquarters for the oil thing, that probably the place would not have come to the prominence which it has achieved. So, why the PSUs should not be the backbone? I would say that the PSUs have played their roles beyond the economic backbone and beyond the thing. I mean, they have played a very significant role in terms of the social importance and the social changes which have come up in the society. Friends, one thing which I have always felt, I am just deviating a little bit in the sense that when I have been heading 4-5 different PSUs and I have different experience, I would be sharing a little bit with you. But when I join a PSU, when I take up the assignments or being given an assignment at the instance of the government that this PSU is given, I just somehow, at the point of the joining, I somehow feel that why this PSU should be in losses. And I strongly feel that whatever are the commitments, but the financial commitments should be at the top priority. Whether it's giving the employment to the locals, whether it is giving something which is at the reasonable price, or whatever is the objective of that PSU. But I still feel that why the PSU should be in losses, and if it is in the financial losses, then certainly the PSU would not be able to meet its obligations. I was mentioning, I mean, in this context, I would like to say that when I joined this permanence, for example, which was my current assignment, and that was an additional charge besides my responsibilities in the ministry, the organization was in getting into the red, and I joined sometimes in the end of the financial year, and the balance sheet showed losses in that organization. And it was really tough at that point of time to see as to why is it happening. But friends, I feel pride, and I'm happy to say that even in the 1 year's time, in the next year we reflected profits which were there. So it was kind of a turnaround in that sense. And then in the next year we doubled those profits. And touch wood, I mean, continuing for the third financial year, I mean, not my choice, kind of a compulsion, but this year we have made tremendous expansion, tremendous growth. We made very good, we provided very good services during the election campaigning through our helicopters, and in the process we made profits, and probably this year again we would be doubling our profit, which will be the 4 times of what it was. When I mean, from losses, profits, doubling it and then doubling it, 4 times of what it was in the first year. So this is how I try to understand as to why a PSU should be in losses and why it should get into the losses, provided our decisions are business-like, our decisions are professional in our nature. And friends, in the aviation sector, I do handle domestic travel and the airlines, including, not including Air India, but other airlines, whatever is coming up, the new airlines which are coming up and things like that. But I somehow feel that everybody says that the aviation sector is in red. Yeah, it is in red, no doubt about it. But probably they need to tighten their belts more, and they need to be more professional in their approaches. There are companies which are even showing a profit. I'm talking of the corporate world. Indigo, I have the one company, 2 companies showing profit here and now and then companies showing the losses also. Of course, Air India, maybe because of the historical reasons, inefficiencies, whatever it is showing the losses. But the only point which I want to emphasize is that there is a scope and people can move forward, and there is no reason why the company should be in the losses in that sense. Pawan's helicopters, for that matter, as I was introduced with that company, of course, I'm hardly able to give my time besides my responsibilities in the ministry. But I'm very proud of my colleagues. The same team which was there earlier, they have delivered. They are doing much better. The same 150 pilots. Of course, there is attrition. Pilots keep flying from one company to another company. we have the same group of 200 odd aeronautical engineers, aviation AMEs, and the same people have delivered the things in permanent. I don't find any unrest now at this juncture among the flying staff or the engineering staff. They are all motivated. They do keep doing the things well. And we, I mean, as a common Hans, as a part of the regional connectivity, there is tremendous opportunity for this company to get into the connecting the smaller areas. For this, the ministry is coming forward with the regional connectivity policy now. We intend to be connecting a whole lot of 100 odd airstrips, airports and air terminals which are not connected, providing incentives, not in terms of the cash incentives, but other kind of incentives, and making a little bit of things mandatory for the airlines to provide the connectivity. So there are tremendous opportunities for smaller companies, and Common Hans, I have given it a direction through the board and through the ministry that it can get into the fixed wing operations and the seaplane operations to provide the tourism, provide the connectivity to the areas. These are some of the things that probably I thought I would share about the governance. I still claim, friends, what I said in the beginning, that running a PSU with a lot of things to be taken care is much more difficult. I remember my stints with over a period of time. I have been heading the Industrial Development Corporation, the Warehousing Corporation, the Electronic Development Corporation of the state government, and all these companies which I have been heading. But one assignment which I had with the Optel Telecommunications Limited, this was the first company which started optical fiber manufacturing outside Japan in the entire Asia, Southeast Asia and South Asia, besides the Western world. At that point of time in late 80s, 1987 or something. And then gradually it became thick. It was a listed company, and when I joined, it was not performing, the huge losses. The share was quoted, and it was a pleasure heading a company which was a listed company at that point of time. The share was quoted at 7 rupees. And gradually when we started working with that also, the share value went up to the 45 rupees. But unfortunately that company is not surviving now, and it has died in the due course of time. So, but when I was making the reference in context of managing a PSU and managing other kind of entities, and I found it that managing this Optel Telecommunications was much easier. Being a listed company, it was much better professionally managed, and the decisions had to be taken with a single point kind of an agenda as to what is in the best interest of the company. Of course, there are various other considerations they were there, but it was much easier than running a typical state government PSU or a corporation. Friends, these were some of the points which I wanted to share at this juncture, which came to my mind to share with you. I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to be here with you. And yeah, I'm really not a PSU person that way, I'm a hardcore bureaucrat, but we have been often on given responsibilities, and I take pride in sharing that. I enjoyed with the PSUs, and I don't find any reason why PSUs should be secondary to any organization, whether in terms of the professionalism or whether in terms of the delivery, whether in terms of the performance. The kind of talent which is there with the PSUs, whether the state government PSUs or the government of India PSUs, is unparalleled. They are much more committed to the society, and the delivery of the PSUs is much more than the corporate sector. Thank you, friends. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, and many congratulations for taking a loss-making company to 4 times to that, raising the profits to 4 times, and not only getting these achievements in one PSU but in other PSUs also. This, we take it as an inspiration, and I guess all of us present here are inspired with your speech. Thank you very much. Now I invite the person on stage under whose leadership PSU MSTC has emerged as a major player in the country for promoting e-commerce. The company has presented with e-auction portal. It is a very interesting fact that this e-auction portal of MSTC, www.mstcecommerce.com. It is today highly popular tool for transacting business over the internet and quite most transparent and fair, in a most transparent and fair manner. So this was all possible, we guess, in the leadership of Shri S.K. Tripathi, Chairman and Managing Director, MSTC Limited. Sir, I invite you on the stage to share your experience.
Distinguished guests on the dais, distinguished personnel officers and the guests which are available in the audience, very good morning to you. At the outset, I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to speak on this occasion. The topic chosen is very relevant and is very much concerned with all of us in our day-to-day lives. PSUs, as you can see on the first slide, on the first page itself, that highlights the importance of public sector undertakings in our society. In the Independence Day speech, our Honorable Prime Minister said, "Make in India." Because probably he meant when we make in India, we made India or we make India. PSUs are day and night engaged in making in India. PSUs are Indian PSUs. We make in India, and by doing this, we make our country what we are. Evolving PSUs have evolved India. As you can say that we provide the business opportunities, we earn a lot of foreign exchange, we provide employment opportunities, collect revenue for the government, engaged in development, research and projects, and also we are engaged in tremendous CSR activities which go to help our society at large. Now I will present before you that how a small PSU, which is in Calcutta, achieved this story of e-commerce. Earlier MSTC, which was founded in 1964, was a scrap canalizing company where any scrap which was to be imported into the country or exported out of the country had to be canalized through MSTC. After that, with the OGL coming in, the scrap was decanalized and it was made open to general public, and then MSTC probably had no work at that time. It is at that time that we were thrown from a guided kind of a business to an open sea, and then we started to find out that what to do and how to take this company forward, which was even fearing the closure. At that time, we tried to diversify into e-commerce. The first project which we did in e-commerce was e-auction of scrap in the country, especially for the defense. Earlier, there were physical auctions coming. All kind of mafia dealings were there. People not being allowed entry into the arena. Lot of fights and other things and Gudaism going on in the physical auction area. We thought that if we can stop the assembly of the buyers and sellers at a place and convert it into e-auction, all this will go away. And indeed that happened. I remember in the earlier days when we tried to put it into the electronic mode, the dealers in the scrap buyers and sellers in the scrap market were not very well educated. They were not aware of the how to handle the computers. They were not aware of the internet. At that time, MSTC started a program educating these buyers and sellers. And in that educative program, I would say that MSTC contributed a lot into developing e-commerce into this country. You know, the kind of shape and the development which we witness now in the country, I will not be wrong to say that MSTC was the harbinger of that, and we were the people who, first of all, put the seeds of e-commerce into the soil of India at that time. It was, I'm talking about 2001, 2002 and 2003 at that time. In 2004, we started e-auction of coal for Coal India. You know, Coal India was mandated to e-auction coal for non-power uses. For the other than power, they were auctioning coal or selling coal for non-core activities like cement plants, washeries, and also for the brick kilns and other things for non-power use. When we started auctioning this coal, it made a lot of difference to Coal India. I must say that because the prices of the coal went up, it became a transparent trade, and because of this, Coal India gained a lot, and it was converted from a loss-making company to a profit-making company. This was the power of e-commerce. This was done in 2004, and then as you can see in 2010, we moved into from coal, from scrap to other products. In 2010, we started e-auction portal for the tea for the organization called T-Serve, and presently we are engaged in converting this e-auction for UPASI, which is the United Planters Association of South India. This is also tea and other materials like spices and other things. Coffee is also in our radar, and we are trying to convert this coffee sale also into e-auction mode. 2011, as you can see, I will now tell you what is the power of the e-commerce, what is the power of an e-sale or e-auction. 2011, we auctioned human hair for Tirupati Tirumala Devasthana. And let me tell you that in the first auction itself, instead of 33 crores, they got 133 crores. They were singing songs. They have now engaged MSTC for the complete their sale and purchase of materials through our either e-procurement model or e-sale model. 2012, this iron ore is another success story. Iron ore, I can tell you what is the power of e-auction. By converting iron ore sale in Karnataka into an e-commerce mode, the government of Karnataka has earned 300 crores extra in the form of royalties, taxes and revenues. The politicians in Karnataka now have a lot of kitty in their hands for developmental activities. In a state like Karnataka, if 300 crores extra is coming, that means a lot. Lot of development activities can be done. And how it has been done? Only because Khata 1 and Khata 2 is not there. There is only one Khata, and that is the e-commerce Khata. So everything is now transparent. It is all the collection of the government duties and revenues are on a percentage basis. Then the sale and the purchase amounts are displayed and captured realistically. Even the tax collections go up. So this is the power of e-commerce, e-auction. Other things, you know, like now we have also been engaged for the auction of iron ore in Goa. Recently, now we are presently engaged in the auction of red sandalwood in Andhra Pradesh, which is a confiscated item. It's a banned item, and MSTC has been engaged to do it in a very fast and unfair way, and I'm sure that we'll be able to succeed in this also. These are the success stories which I have already narrated. I did not mention about INS Vikrant. The reserve price of INS Vikrant was 28 crores and it was sold at 62 crores. Some figures about coal, for Coal India this year we sold about 27 million tons and auctioned for 4,000 crores. Tirupati I have already mentioned. Like that, e-commerce now in MSTC we feel that each and every product can be converted into an e-mode. It is only that the seller or the buyer should engage MSTC and should have the willpower to execute that. Anything can be done. Now, what is the impact of it? That the information is available. MSTC has got about 60,000 buyers and seller registers with it. The moment you engage MSTC, the whole world of buyers and sellers is exposed to your product, either for sale or for purchase. There is concurrent multiple events can take place. At any given time, about 30 to 40 auctions are going on MSTC's portal. So concurrent events can take place. Auction is recognized by the enforcement agencies as an open tender process. So there is no question when being asked when you go for an e-auction, e-purchase or e-reverse auction for procurement on MSTC's portal. It is equivalent to an open tender. Minimal human intervention. The buyers and sellers do not meet each other frequently, do not come to know that who is bidding for what, and therefore there is no human intervention. The time is saved because the instantaneous decision of sale and purchase can take place. Files need not move. In a normal conventional paper tender process, it takes months to finalize a transaction. In an e-auction or an e-reverse auction, it takes only seconds to finalize a transaction. So that is the impact of e-commerce. How do we do this? As I said that we have a large customer base, we have dedicated staff in MSTC, which has got this customer base created over a period of time. We have a copyrighted e-commerce module, 256-bit data encryption system, STQC certification is available, CMMI level 3 certification is available, which very few organizations in the country has as on date. Right Voice Media is a support, which helps the CDC and the enforcement agencies to find out if somebody has unauthorizedly tampered with the system. It gets recorded on a non-erasable media at a customer end, so it can always be found out that who gave wrong command or unauthorized command to the system at any given time. So it's a very big deterrent for any unscrupulous person. Then MSTC is bound by CBC guidelines and other guidelines of the Government of India, which the private players do not have to follow. As far as e-commerce is concerned, I would say that this is the omni e-commerce. It has percolated down in the society. As we said that MSTC started with the minerals and the bulk products in the beginning. But now, as you can say, in the retail sector, there are plethora of private companies which have come up: Flipkart, Myntra, Snapdeal, TripAdvisor. There are hundreds of them, and they are all operating. I would not be wrong to say that if MSTC can take pride in this fact that we were the initiator of e-commerce into the country, which has now been lapped up in the retail space by so many private players, and and India has made a name internationally also on this ground. This is what my slogan is, that e-assuring India, and certainly as a PSU chairman, I take pride in this, that we are the initiator of this important systemic change which has come into India. Now I would throw some light about some new initiative which MSTC has been taking as a PSU in order to help the society, in order to help the country. For coal, for augmenting the supply of non-coking coal to power utility, as we know that there is a big shortage of thermal coal into the country. India imports about 80 to 90 to 100 million tons of coal every year from countries like Indonesia, South Africa and other places. We are a big importer of thermal coal. What MSTC is planning, we are planning to start a kind of a reverse auction in which the miners directly will participate, thereby bringing the price of the coal to the Indian power utilities. If the middleman will be eliminated, the miners will be directly participating in a reverse auction. Obviously, the financial savings for the power sector is going to be huge. We made a presentation in the CRC and also in the CA, and I'm glad to inform that the first order we have got from Mahagenco for trying this out. And if it is successful, there are huge savings for the power sector in this. We are also in the process of converting into the electronic mode the forest and agri products into Kerala. Kerala government has decided to engage MSTC for e-auction of timbers. Again, it is the same story being repeated. What happened in the defense scrap auctions. Right now, the timber auctions are all physical. Mafia operation is there. All kind of nonsense is going on. So the government of Kerala has taken the first lead, and they have engaged MSTC to convert this into electronic mode. And I am so sure that I will be able to do it. And the benefits, what defense has got, the similar benefits the state of Kerala will get. What Karnataka has got by putting auction of iron ore, the same kind of advantages Kerala government will also get. Upasi I have already spoken. Then I have also bidded for starting the e-procurement system in defense and paramilitary forces. We are all aware that how much defense is criticized for corruption in the procurement systems. I am talking about the general items, not the technical items. And if we can convert the general items into e-procurement mode, a lot of benefits will accrue. Then NPS for bank, again the auctions, this can be converted into an auction mode. Third venture in which MSTC right now is engaged is starting a first shredding plant in the country, auto shredding plant in the country. Right now, we have no system, no mandate, no legislation that an end-of-life vehicle must be shredded. It keeps lying here and there. It is cut in the unorganized sector, which is not scientific at all. The good quality auto grade steel finds way into inferior end products. Like that, the value of good quality auto grade steel gets relegated, which is not correct. The cars can be new, but the steel in the car can be 100 years old. It can be recycled. So there is no problem about that, and we are now about to start the first auto shredding plant in the country. India is a net importer of shredded scrap. We are importing about 8 million tons per annum from advanced countries like US and Europe. So we will be converting now this value addition into the country. So these are the three major areas where MSTC is trying to divert, and I am sure with these measures we are going to get a lot of benefit for our society. I will end my speech with a little story. In MSTC, one day one gentleman walked in and he wanted to participate in an auction. He said that we don't allow people to participate from our office, but since you are insisting, we have an area where you can sit quietly and participate. The auction was to close at 6 p.m. There is an extension system in the auction. If somebody keeps on bidding, it gets extended. So he kept on bidding, and then it went up to 7:30. Then the chowkidar walked into him and said that it is now 7:30. Now you please leave. I have to close the office. He picked up his mobile phone and talked to his father, and he said that पापा जी तो क्या करूँ? मैं पढ़ाता जा रहा हूँ और ये कोई पढ़ाता जा रहा है उधर से और ये 7:30 बज गया. पापा ने जवाब दिया, अबे खोते ये तू है, तू मेरी जगह बिट कर रहा है, मैं यहाँ घर से बिट कर रहा हूँ, तू वहाँ ऑफिस से बिट कर रहा है, कहता तू बंद कर इसको. So this is how we take the maximum value out of the product through the e-auction system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. An interesting speech and an interesting end. of the inspiring speech. Now I invite our next speaker, a representative from Government of India. He is a person under whose leadership the Ministry of Steel is coordinating policies for and facilitating the growth and development of the iron and steel industry and overall the whole economy of India. So now I invite Mr. Sayyadin Abbasi, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Steel, Government of India, to address the audience.
My request to the speakers, I know you have a lot of material to share with us. We would like to listen to a lot, but the time is the constraint, and around 15 minutes each, but that should be okay, 10 to 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Narayanan. I'll keep that in mind when I give my address. Firstly, I'd like to thank elets for inviting me here. Distinguished speakers on the dais and colleagues and friends in the audience. I was in college and university from 84 to 90. That was the period in which you were having this major privatization drive by Margaret Thatcher in Britain. I don't know how many of you recall that. Where almost 50 public sector undertakings of the British government were privatized. And the general refrain was that the public sector is inefficient, it is, they just get into strikes and unionize, they're loss-making, they're a drain on the economy. And some of my mindset since then was always a little negative towards the public sector, that they're not very efficient, it's not very good, and so on and so forth. Added to that was the fact that during that period, even in India, the private sector, the public sector was doing pretty badly. I remember in 92, 93 was it, I think, Steel Authority of India share was selling it, I think, 4 rupees a share or 5 rupees a share at that time. I mean, it was literally going for a song at that time. And the balance sheet was bleeding, and they were making all sorts of losses. But the fact of the matter is that the story is a lot more complicated than just talking about the efficiencies of the private sector and the inefficiencies of the public sector. If you look at Britain again, from the period 1985 to the present day, in 1985 I think the share of manufacturing in Britain was more than 20-21%. Today it is below 10%. And a lot of people attribute the destruction of manufacturing industry in Britain to the nationalization drive which was taken up in those days by the Margaret Thatcher government. Now, of course, history will be the judge whether that was the real reason for it doing so badly, etc. But the fact remains that once these whole industries were sort of wiped out, the automobile industry was wiped out, the shipping industry was wiped out, mostly Britain turned from a manufacturing center to a center for capital and finance and so on, and those kinds of jobs. But barring that and the experience of the US, which has hardly any so-called public sector undertakings, if you look at Europe, if you look at other parts of the world, the public sector plays a very, very important role. I mean, I don't know how many of you know that the Pohang Iron and Steel Company, which is possible, started off as a PSU. Rolls-Royce was a state-owned enterprise. Singapore Airlines today, Singtel, they're state-owned enterprises even today. And they're doing very, very well. Vale started off as which is the largest iron ore exporter in the world. I think with a turnover of I think $50 billion or so dollars, started life as a state-owned enterprise and was privatized in I think 97 or 98. So it is not as if being in the public sector or being in the private sector necessarily makes you inefficient or efficient. It is more the kind of competition which you have in the economy which ensures whether you are competitive or whether you sort of just become a monopoly. I mean, there were plenty of instances of government monopoly before, and that is probably the reason why the public sector also got a bad name. For example, before 1991, steel was a controlled subject. I mean, there was actually a commissioner of iron and steel in the Ministry of Steel, and I'll give you an example, who used to determine what would be the freight for moving steel products from X to Y, how you would equalize the freight, who would be given permission to produce how much, at what locations, and so on. So it was that control which led to the kind of environment which was there, that the public sector is bad and they sort of obstructed. You had lines for telephones before the privatization of the telecom sector. Yet after the privatization, if you see, most of these companies which belong to the government, whether it is SAIL, whether it is NMDC in the Steel Ministry, or whether it is NTPC, whether it is ONGC, I mean, you name it, BSNL, etc., they have thrived. They are doing pretty well. So it is more about the kind of environment that you put in place which ensures the performance of any company, whether it be private, whether it be public. In the case of the steel sector, and I can talk about that with some confidence because this was a sector which was deregulated in 1991 for its own good. And before 1991, steel was, we were producing, I think, about 15 million or 17 million tons of steel. And today we are at about 81 million tons of production, 100 million tons of capacity. We are the fourth largest steel producer in the world. But having said that, some of the most ambitious expansion program which is going on currently in the steel sector is by the Steel Authority of India Limited. They are, within the next 2 to 3 years, they will be close to producing 22 million tons of steel within this country. RINL has some of the most efficient parameters of steel production in the country. It can be matched with whether it is the Tatas or the Jindals, whoever it may be. The efficiencies are comparable. And that has largely been on account of the fact that government has today started realizing the importance which is there for HR, for giving market-driven salaries and giving independence to the public sector to be able to do its own thing. True, a lot more can be done. I mean, for example, if you look at how a Singapore Airlines or a Singtel perform, it is literally run like a private company. There is no difference between a public sector company and a private sector company. The CEOs are paid market rates, wage rates. Or if you look at some of the Chinese state-owned enterprises, they are doing even better. I mean, today, India is the fourth largest steel producer with 80 million tons of steel production. China produces 700 million tons. It's 50% of the world's steel production comes from China, and almost all of it is from state-owned enterprises. So I don't think if you're looking at the economy as a whole, the public sector can be ignored only at the peril of the economy. Today in India, we are talking about improving our manufacturing from 15% to 25%. In fact, I mean, there is a strong danger that the Indian economy faces, which is thus, for a country to industrialize, you have a situation where from agriculture you go to industry, and from industry you go to services. India has had a kind of a unique development where from agriculture we have moved directly to a service sector economy without manufacturing ever being the largest shareholder of the economy ever. And that is a dangerous thing. And if we want our country to flourish, our economy to flourish, we have to stress on manufacturing. Today, India, I think the share of manufacturing in India's GDP is about 15%. Unless we can get it to 25% or so, we are in serious trouble. China, I think the share of manufacturing in GDP is close to 30%. Because ultimately, where will you get the jobs? The jobs can only be provided from manufacturing, because that is what absorbs the maximum number of jobs of semi-skilled people of the kind which would come from the countryside immediately here. You can't absorb all of them in IT or in some banking services or the hotel industry. Most of them have to come into manufacturing as they are in China. In China, you have industries with one single location, one industry like Foxconn employs 400,000 people at one location. that can only come if manufacturing is strengthened. And for that, you have to ensure that that there is a public sector which continues with its stress on manufacturing, which to some extent the private sector is focusing more on services and other financial sector, etc., or maybe to some extent in telephony, etc. But manufacturing, if you look at it today, a large part of the manufacturing is actually covered by the public sector. Now, another point that I wanted to talk about is how do India's PSU stack up, if you look at it globally or even in the country. There's a lot which is wrong with PSUs within India. People say that there's a lot of waste, which is true to some extent in a number of companies. People point to companies like the National Textile Corporation, and most of the companies are sick. But then the fact of the matter is that most of those were taken over from the private sector by the government so that the employees did not lose their jobs. So it's partly because of the poor performance in the private sector that they got nationalized in the first place. And that happened with a number of companies and a number of sectors. You look at the Department of Public Enterprise and the Ministry of Heavy Industries. A number of industries which were taken over were on account of those becoming sick in the private sector and then being nationalized so that the workers and laborers did not lose their jobs. Or some private sector companies being taken over by SAIL, for example. But then those are the added burdens which government or government-owned enterprises have to take on because they are part of government. And perhaps that is something which we need to be more professional about to ensure that, if the industry is dying and the company is dying, so be it. Those workers can move to some other company which then can grow at a much faster rate and provide more jobs and so on. Or if a sector is dying, so be it. You can have a sector changing from one to the other, the economy relying on some other sector of the industry or economy more than the previous sector which was there. So if you look at the performance of the public sector as a whole, it has been, well, so if you look at some of the biggest companies like ONGC, IOC, Steel Authority, NTPC, BHEL, they are comparable with the best in the world in terms of productivity parameters. Probably SAIL may not, but then SAIL has a different reason because of the huge labor which was given to them as part of their various companies that they had to take over forcibly. But if you look at some of the other companies which did not have this sort of legacy to contend with, you can see them to be comparable with the best in the world. Today, in spite of everything, for the last 10 years or so, in spite of deregulation, liberalization, the public sector continues to contribute between 23 to 21% of GDP, depending on the year that may be. It contributes about, I think, the turnover is about 15 to 18 lakh crores today, I think, the total turnover of all PSUs. And they employ, I think, 6% of the total workforce of the organized sector of the economy. So they are performing as well as one can expect within the limits of a government structure which is there. But if you look at the manpower which is there in this in public sector undertakings, they are comparable with the best in the private sector. In fact, whenever the sectors have been deregulated, for example, steel or telecom or insurance, these people from government companies which have moved over to the private sector and helped grow that sector as a whole. So in terms of manpower, the quality of manpower, I think there is not too much to complain as far as the public sector is concerned. In terms of speed of movement, yes, definitely they are far risk averse than the private sector. I think that is a given, but to me, that is more a sign of strength rather than a weakness. The first rule of business is that you do not make a loss. So you should be more risk averse rather than look at, I'll make 10 times what I'm making today. I mean, just to give you an example, I don't know whether a lot of you have read the papers recently, but there's a company called Integrated Coal Ventures Limited, which is ICBL. There's a joint sector, company in which Coal India, Steel Authority, NTPC, RINL and NMDC have sort of come together and formed this company. They recently picked up picked up ownership of a mine in Mozambique from Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto is one of the biggest mining companies in the world. And they picked up that stake. I'll tell you the number later, but this company was acquired by Rio Tinto initially in 2008 to 2009 for about $4 billion. And they invested $700 million in actual assets into that company. And it was sold to ICVL about, I think, 15 years back for $50 million. So if you take those kind of risks, then those are the kind of problems that you run into. Effectively, they gave it away free. $5 billion was just written down. Even today, you have the Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, paying a fine to the US government of $17 billion. So those are the kind of risks which also go with a lot of private sector macho which comes in, no, we're going to make money, we're going to do this. I mean, I shudder to think what would have happened to the public sector CEO if he had to write off 30,000 crores of valuation because of a wrong bet he had made. So I think it is much better to be safe rather than to be sorry. Be a little slow in going and acquiring. I mean, there was a lot of criticism of ICVL earlier in the last 4 years. That, we are not acquiring anything, and look, the Chinese are going everywhere and acquiring everything, and why are you not going and acquiring? Because the valuations did not make sense. At that time, coking coal was at $300 per ton, and everybody is looking at prices going to $500 a ton of coking coal. And the Chinese bought almost everything which was there to buy in Australia, in Africa, in terms of coking coal and iron ore was bought by the Chinese at those valuations. Today, at that time, iron ore was at $180 a ton, coking coal was $300 a ton. Today, coking coal is $120 a ton. Iron ore is $90 a ton. So, in these things, because they were risk averse, they could. I mean, this is the time that now the Indian companies, Indian PSUs are moving in more aggressively and trying to acquire assets abroad, because now the valuations are far, far lower and look far more attractive than they did in those days. So, the point simply being made is that in terms of manpower, in terms of people, in terms of efficiencies, as well as business logic and business sense, I have not, especially over the last 2 years that I have interacted with public sectors very closely in the Ministry of Steel, where a number of PSUs are there. There is not too much difference in terms of quality of manpower, in terms of due diligence, etc., as compared to the private sector. Sure, they will be a little slower. You have the Parliament on top of them, you have the Ministry on top of them, you have the CVC on top of them, the CVI on top of them. So all these issues make people in the public sector go a little slower. But on the whole, I think I am confident that the public sector will continue to play a very, very important role in the economy of this country. And if manufacturing is to catch up and go up to about 25% of the GDP, you will find that the public sector will be playing an even more important role, not a decreasing important role. Just one final word I'd like to say, and this is on the issue of monopolies, just one point I'd like to make, which my boss was very fond of making, which was, the general refrain was that government monopolies are bad. And you would say, yes, it's true, government monopolies are bad, but the only thing worse than a government monopoly is a private monopoly. And some of us are seeing the reaction of what is happening when certain sectors are privatized without enough thought as to whether they will remain monopolies or not, and the reaction of that are coming on the streets of Delhi itself. So just some things to ponder about as to what will happen to the public sector, what can be done in this with the public sector in terms of the contribution that it can make to the economy. I'm sure it will continue to grow from strength to strength. Thank you.
We expect we could hear more of leaders like you, sir. But we have a constraint of time, so I request all the speakers to finish their speech in around 10 minutes. Now I invite Mr. Dr. U.D. Chaube, Director General Scope. Sir, as we know, Standing Conference of Public Enterprises is the apex body of central government-owned public enterprises. Scope has all these central public enterprises, a few state government enterprises, and some national bank as its members. Sir, we are glad to have you here.
I was sharing with Dr. Narayan that we have 277 public sector enterprises, so I will not speak less than 1 hour. So I think you all are terrorized by my statement. Nevertheless, Dr. Narayan, the patriarch of public sector enterprises in India, the very senior civil servant sitting over here, Mr. Srivastava, Mr. Kumar, my colleagues in public sector enterprises and CEO, Mr. Rao, Mr. Party, Mr. Jan, and Madam Neelu as well, one of the few women representative of the board of public sector enterprises, distinguished invitees, captains of public sector industries, my colleagues from Scope, friends of media, if any. I also consider him as the media now. Ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, I compliment the organizers for having selected public sector enterprises for this very important program. And I am very happy that in the last 3-4 years, a large many of such events are taking place, and that shows the popularity of public sector enterprises in India as such. I also compliment both the Joint Secretary for having very good words for public sector enterprises, and particularly Mr. Srivastava for understanding that working in public sector enterprises has become more difficult these days. Hope he will realize the reason and do something as the owner of the public sector enterprises in his ministry. Even though his entire DNA we know is public sector because of his past association with public sector enterprises and also presently with governments. Also, I would like to quote yesterday's a similar event where Mr. Ram Vilas Paswan, the food minister, compared the politicians and bureaucrats. He was speaking in Hindi as usual. Politician लोगों को दिमाग नहीं होता है, लेकिन दिल होता है. ब्यूरोक्रेट्स को बहुत दिमाग होता है, लेकिन दिल नहीं होता है. I say that public sector enterprises have both will and demand. So from here I start. The over 6 decades of the public sector enterprises, you are knowing, has seen 3 distinct phases. The first was soon after independence and in line with the premises led by the Constitution of India of a mixed economy. The public sector enterprises were born in 50s with the meager investment of 291 crore at that time when ITI, Fertilizer Corporation of India and all that came. The condition of the country was there was no industry, no infrastructure, there was complete financial resource crunch, but we had very cheap labor available and the entire economy was based on agrarian side. That was the condition, and it was realized that no, public sector had to come, and very good words and ornamental words like commanding heights or temples of India, all there became synonyms with public sector enterprises. But another negative part was that in the name of social factor, 24 lakhs of people were employed in public sector enterprises, and they were also asked to take over some of the seeking needs as a liability by the public sector. The result was that public sector enterprises became synonymous with letharginess, ineffectiveness, and all that criticism which you heard earlier, and now they are still pouring in. But we are immunized people. We hear the criticism only analyze it and take care of something which are very healthy criticism, which I will touch very soon now. The second phase of public sector enterprises started with liberalization and open policy of the Government of India in 1991 and post-period. When public sector started facing challenges, earlier profit was not considered as a good word. Now came 1991, we started knowing that yes, public sector had to earn profit. And you will be surprised to know that during 10 years time, within 10 years time, our profit increased by 35 times if you compare the pre-91, post-91. Turnover 9 times. But unfortunately, profit became the only intention of not only public sector, but all the corporates. And that gave an intention, an inclination to reflect larger profit by way of inflating the profit numbers by way of jugglery of financing accounting system and also concealing the liabilities. But the result was relatively a big tranquility which gave rise to a number of frauds which you are all aware. That was the phase in 1991. But came this third phase with the advent of the 21st century that corporates and public sector particularly realized that no, there is something doing business within a business and beyond business. They realized that business is not doing business alone, but business is doing something beyond. They realized that community relation, corporate social responsibility holds the key, and it is the most enduring, paramount, intangible asset for the public sectors. And that became some sort of a strategy for survival on sustainable basis for a long time. Because you also realize that if you do not have a sustainability by way of a community relation, then you are gradually going to become extinct like dinosaur as such. But I'm very happy that public sector enterprises have realized. The second thing which I must touch, which is a world over scenario now, that the continuous pressure in 21st century on 3-4 aspects of enterprises and the corporate sector. They are the governance, deliverability, the board structure, capacity building, and corporate social responsibility as such. I want to also say that more than 6 decades of public sector enterprises that are existing. If you ask where is a documented ownership policy, you will not find it. You know that owner as a government keeps certain portfolio with them, and which is rightly so, like total outcome, the socio-economic sides, the investment proposals, appointment of the board level positions and functional directors and independent directors, of course, then joint ventures, mergers, acquisitions, dividend policy, etc., etc. But we are yet to see a well-documented ownership policy. If there is no such policy, how you are going to evaluate the accountability of the owner, which has become very important. Similar is the case of the board structure today. You have to evaluate the accountability of the board also, because board plays the central role between owner in one side and the management on the other side. On one side, the owner should not transgress into the board decision on day-to-day basis. On the other side, the board has to evolve a vision, a strategy and implementation part, and leave it to management for execution, and it should monitor it. So therefore, there is a need to monitor it, and their evaluation is on the basis of that. So accountability for both owner and the board has become very important, and there is continuous sustained pressure all over the world on the corporate sector for better governance, better deliverability, and better professionalism. Now let us see how public sector boards are structured today. All of you know that there are three layers of it. It is some sort of a very complex coalition of three partners: the functional directors, the government nominee directors, and independent directors. This coalition is not better than the coalition governments of the time. The functional directors have certain limitations because they come from within the organization, mostly from technical department, from the position of general manager or executive directors. They consider themselves like they are the last word on technical side, and forget that the role of director is not only the technical part, but it relates to vision, strategy, and implementation. So they are not heading a department as earlier, but now they are heading an organization as such. So therefore there is a need of capacity building in them, so that they are trained necessarily, mandatorily, before they resume charge as director of the functional part. Similar is the second layer. Our very effective, efficient bureaucrats are sitting over here. They are very intellectual group of people occupying a very big position of privileges, but they have gagged with their enterprise. They do not know what is happening within the company. They come in the board meeting and finally see a joint secretary when the proposal goes to Ministry for administrative things and all that. So it also requires that they should be subject to similar training before they become the nominee director from the government owner side. But unfortunately, they are on the frequent transfer lists. By the time they are trained, they will be in different department, heading another department, and all that. Independent directors, I don't want to be very critical, but you know the situation. They come to the administrative ministry at the mercy of administrative ministry and minister in charge. So if we say that they are dependable independent directors, it will not be exaggeration. And as per SEBI regulations, 50% of the strength is independent directors plus 2 government nominee directors. Then you can visualize the position of the entire board and the chairman in a company, enterprise. So all the times, the majority is in the hands of independent directors and government nominee directors. You are intelligent people, you understand the thing, you have seen the board meetings and all that. Therefore, independent directors who come as a watchdog sort of thing, to sit on the fence, see that the board meetings are as per ethical considerations, without any biasness, and therefore they also need a very good thorough training before they join the board position in respective of the enterprise. On governance side, I say that after all, what the owner requires that the public sector should pursue the agenda of socio-economic development. They should be ethical. They should be also profit-giving and dividend-paying companies, because they are the owner, they are concerned with the commercial values of the enterprise. And leave it to the board that yes, to achieve this objective. Fortunately, the MOU system was introduced in public enterprises in late 90s. And as of now, more than 220 public sector enterprises have already signed have been signing MOU where a target is fixed. Target is fixed, but it has become some sort of program because public sectors are traditionally more prone to compliance and conformance than performance. And it provides some sort of a sense that we have to meet the target set under PMO. So this requires to be reviewed as to whether we need to improve the system or not. I'm sorry. We are 277 in public sector, and I'm proud to be public sector because you can't have any entity in the entire corporate world in India which is better than public sector research. The present investment in public sector is 8,51,000 crores. Now on this, a turnover is almost 20 lakhs crore, 19.46 lakhs crore is the turnover. Public sectors are contributing almost 1,16,000 crores as a net profit every year. And they are paying taxes duty to the extent of 1,63,000 crores every year to the government of India Exchequer, which is almost 22% of the revenue collected by the government. Their net worth 6,81,000 crores, and they earn a foreign exchange of 1,38,000 crores. Now, this is the position of public sector enterprises, and the confidence of investor is such that when it comes to disinvestment, you have seen the confidence of investors. Coal India Limited, NTPC. So, sale is going. I am confident that they will fetch in first 1-2 days the entire 5% is oversubscribed. This is the confidence of the public sector. As of now, 46 public sector enterprises have been listed out of the 950 or total listed. And this 46, hardly 5% of the total listed company have a market capitalization of 23% as of yesterday. This is the market capitalization, and that's why the confidence of the investors in public sector. In Forbes list, there are 54 Indian companies. Out of that, 30 are public sector enterprises and public sector banks. This is their position. I'm sorry. I'm sorry because so I don't. Because I am a public sector man, one thing I will definitely tell that now the time has come when the public sector enterprises have to build up better relation with community side. Community development has become the real strategy today for the growth of enterprise on sustained basis, as I told. And this can be only possible when we assess the demand of the people who are particularly in the rural area of India. And then you will have such an image that yes, this company has its own brand, its own image, its own culture, who cares for the community. And that will be your lasting relation with them, and you will change the entire concept. Now coming to worldwide trend, I will take 2 minutes more, sir. Worldwide trend now. What has happened after recession? That there is everywhere consolidation of sovereign holding on public sector enterprises, state-owned enterprises, they tell. Unfortunately, we are more for dilution of the state holding by way of the investment, which is not the only panacea for meeting the fiscal deficit and all that. There are other ways. You improve the professionalization, you improve the productivity, you improve the governance, you improve the deliverability. You will see that the economy itself in turn grows like anything. So worldwide they are going to create, and most of the countries like Norway, Sweden, Malaysia, China, Vietnam, even UK and France, and to some extent in America also, which has been private sector monopoly and all that. They are consolidating the holding of public sector enterprises by way of a sovereign structure. They have created sovereign holding company and sovereign wealth fund, SWF. Sovereign wealth fund to protect the state-owned enterprises, the public sector enterprises, and sovereign structure, which is the prime body of about a dozen of board members headed by a chairman who only reports to the prime minister of the country or the country head as such. This type of, and they are either minimizing or completely relinquishing the control of the administrative ministry as such. This is a requirement of a structural change in this country also, that let there be a holding company who looks after the different public enterprises and leave it to their respective board to come out and meet the targets set by the sovereign holding company as such. This is the requirement for the country today. Thank you very much. You have tolerated me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. A big hand for Mr. Chowdhury, please. Next speaker, I'll invite Ma'am Neeru Abroad, but before that, we will request our guests for launching of eGov magazine, the special PSU special issue of this eGov magazine. We have covered all the PSU perspective in India in this magazine. So I request all the guests to launch it. eGov magazine is mainly about IT and ICT usage in governance space. So there are various stories and interviews regarding how e-governance is going on in the PSU sector in India.
Everybody has got this.
Now the magazines will be distributed in the hall, or the delegates also. Now I invite Ma'am Neeru Abroad, Chairman and Managing Director, National Fertilizers Limited, for a brief address.
My voice is louder enough. CM Neeru Abroad, CMD NFN, National Fertilizer Limited, a urea producing, mainly urea producing company. We are the second largest in the country. We produce about 3.6 million tons, and we have plants at Panipat, Bhatinda, Nangal, Vijaypur. Recently we have converted 3 of our units into gas, natural gas. Earlier only Vijaypur unit was a natural gas. Now all the units are on natural gas. We have about 4,000 employees and a turnover of about 8,000 odd crores. Issues about fertilizer, and in case you must be hearing about it, urea is in a very controlled regime. Our prices are, the MRP is about 30% and the subsidy is about 70%. It's a very odd structure, but that is now it is affecting the profitability of the companies in terms of working capital funding. Gas in any case is a pass-through. The government has fixed preset norms that we have to adhere to those energy norms, and we are pretty competitive on that, the country as a whole. The country consumes about 30 million tons of urea, of which about 22 million ton is domestically produced. 2 million ton we get on long-term contract basis under OMIFCO, and the remaining is being imported. PSUs account for about 20% of the total fertilizer production in the country. about 20% is by the cooperatives. So you can find about 40% is in this sector and the 60 is about with the private. My journey in the, because my entire career has been in PSUs. I was earlier with Steel Authority for 26 years and for the last 7 years I'm with National Fertilizer Limited. The issue, because I think others may not be attacking that issue, but being a woman, I think I can be just highlighting that. Working in a PSU, I feel is very comfortable. The time I joined, I'm a chartered accountant by profession. So the time I joined Steel Authority for my 26 as a junior manager. So the scope is there that you can grow up right up to the CMD level the way I have grown up. But the time I joined, there were hardly any women in the managerial cadre. But now you'll find lots of them the way the banks have. That you have, I think, quite a number of banks are being headed by women CMDs. In case of manufacturing, you will find that out of the 277 PSUs, 5 are being headed by women, not more. So now the focus is how to, this gender differentiation, how we cover it up. You'll find the women till general manager, lots of them are there, but now a push is required that they occupy the position on the board. The company law has said that, okay, one women director should be on the board, but I think that would require a push from PSP's scope that they become directors also. They don't stagnate at GM or ED level. How we push them into the board level, that more and more of them come on the boards of the various PSUs. I've had a very comfortable career in PSUs, the way I have grown, had some tough times also. Some issues are there in PSUs, some of them I think I'll be writing after I retire, not before that. So what my experience has been there. And in fertilizer sector, I think there, for the last almost more than a decade, there has not been much investment. The policies are under scrutiny that how we improve the availability of fertilizer, how we produce more in the country. Apart from the constraint on the availability of natural gas, but the policy itself requires a relook in terms of investments. Government is trying to improve the availability in the sense that some of the closed units, you must have heard about Ramagundam, Talcher, Gorakhpur. It's almost about 7 of them have closed over the years. So now the issue is not only reviving them in the sense, not the old plants, to try to build them up. So like NFL along with Engineers India Limited and FCL, we will be, let's say, reviving Ramagundam in Andhra Pradesh. It will be about 1.2 million ton urea plant with a cost of about 4,700 odd crores and with an equity of 30-70, that will be funding. The issue about nutrient-based subsidy, you must have heard about that. In 2010, the government has introduced nutrient-based subsidy, but that is other than urea. In case of potash and phosphates, that has been decontrolled to the sense that there's a limit on the subsidy, but MRP is little free. So that is distorting the productivity of the soil in the sense that it should be about 4:2:1. Nitrogen should be 4:2 should be phosphates and 1 should be potash. But the distortion has taken place over a number of years that now it is becoming almost like 8:3:1. 8 times nitrogen, 3 times phosphates and 1 time potash. So that is distorting the productivity of the soil. So that is a big issue for the country as a whole, that how we improve the productivity, how we remove this distortion. So there is a scheme going on that whether urea should also be brought under the nutrient-based subsidy. So then the farmer will not be, there will not be a problem for the farmer, that urea being a less costly item, they will not resort to it. and use the other fertilizers also, because there is a big deficiency of not only macronutrients but even micronutrients. So I think I would be ending on this. So thanks a lot, and wishing the whole day, I think the seminar what you're going to have a big success. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Now, a big hand for madam, please. A woman leader in the PSU sector. And now I invite a very special person, a mining engineer, today heading a Navratna Government of India enterprise under the administrative control of MOC. And this organization has a history of achievements in the last 56 years since its inception in 1956. And this person as a leader is adding a lot of more laurels in the organization. I invite Shri B. Surendra Mohan, Chairman and Managing Director, Navali Lignite Corporation Limited on stage. Sir, you're welcome. A big hand for sir.
Dr. M.P. Narayan, President, Elite Techno Media Private Limited, Dr. Chube sir, Director General Scope, and other dignitaries on the dais, and delegates from different organizations. Good morning to all of you. Really very happy to be in this gathering today, particularly the session on the PSU, the backbone of the Indian economy. We have heard about the importance of the PSU, particularly from Dr. Chobe, the role of public sector undertakings and its growth plan and its contribution to the Indian economy. So I would like to pass quickly on the overall scenario of the CPSUs and also on elets. PSU. As informed by Mr. Chobe about the tea independence era, where there were a lot of regional imbalances were there, economic development, lack of trained manpower, low levels of employment, weak industrial base, etc. And in 1948, the planned economic development started, and then the first industrial policy was adopted by Government of India in 1948. The planned economic development policies, which is the roadmap, was and then they paved with the growth for the large base and scope for PSUs. Initially, the public sector was confined only core industries like railways, post and telegraph, ordnance factories, etc., with only 5 CPSCs at that time, with only an investment of 29 crores. Then second phase started with banks and industries, and also manufacturing, steel, heavy machinery, etc., mining, extraction minerals, warehousing, etc. As per the DP survey, you see, in 1956 there were only 5 numbers of CPSCs with 29 crores. Subsequently, 277, it has increased the CPSCs with the investment of rupees 8 lakh crores investment, and this has increased the investments and capital employed in all the CPSCs. You can see more than 15 lakh of those crores, and total investment in CPSCs is 8.5 lakh crores, and their net profit by all CPSCs is 1,10,300 crores, and total income from all CPSCs, the growth of the CPSCs, and almost ranging from 20 to 24% GDP growth. Of course, all you have heard about this, about the foreign exchange contribution, And CPSU is the source of central exchequer of rupees 1,42 crores of rupees with the exchequer, mainly by payment of dividends to investment CPSCs and also payment of taxes, etc. from the selected source. 20% of PSC's market capitalization, and CPSC employed for 1.4 million people, of which 25% belong to the managerial and supervisory cadre, and paid a remuneration of rupees 1,50,000 crores, and wages about 8.29 lakhs per person. And Jio introduced Navaratna scheme in 1997, and all of you know about Navaratna, and also the objective of Navaratna also. And now, so far we are having now Maharatna to 7 CPSCs, Navaratna to 17 CPSCs, Niratna category 1 CPSC 3, and category 2 to 18 CPSCs. And this is about evaluation of performances as told by Mr. Chobe about the MOA understanding what they are having with the government of the administrative ministry, and they are being monitored through MOAs, the performance. To overcome challenges in the industry, CSR is required. CSR leads to good governance by balancing the need of various stakeholders and party and investor relations. As the importance of CSR, the Companies Act 2013 made compulsory now comply or explain. It's a new thing, but the importance of CSR was realized, much practiced, and by CPSCs for the last few decades. In 1994, DB issued guidelines on social obligations of PSU. 2010, again CSR guidelines were issued to CPSCs, ranging from 0.5 to 5% of the net profit, depending on the profitability of the company. Companies earning net profit of 100 crores, 3 to 5%, 100 crores to 500 crores, 2 to 3%, and above 500 crores, 0.5 to 2%. So in 2013, these are guidelines were integrated with sustainable development guidelines. So MOE with the ministries, PSUs include CSR as one of the main parameters. Thus, Indian PSUs started practicing CSR for decades, where the CSR was not a compulsory one for Indian corporates. With regard to NLC, we would like to give a few light on this. NLC, if you see, we are having the different activities what we are carrying out in NLC. You can see the Mine 1, initially started in 1956. Then also the TPS 1, that's 600 megawatt. Then TPS expansion, 420 megawatt. And Mine 2 towards the downside, it is also a 50 million ton mine. And then linked to the TPS 2, 4070 megawatt. TPS expansion, 500 megawatt, which is going to be commissioned very shortly. And Mine 1 is 3 million ton mine. And Barsingsar, in Rajasthan, we are also having our setup, a mine and also a power plant of 250 megawatt. These companies incorporated in 1956. Mainly we are retail mining and power generation. It's an Navaratna company, presently 30 points in capacity, 2,740 megawatt power we are generating, and paid up capital is 1,677 crores, net worth is 13,000 plus crores, and market capitalization is around 18,200 crores, and profit after tax, what we had last year, is 1,501.88 crores. They already paid in 10% dividend, and also they are going to further 18% or 28% dividend. They are paying to the government around 44.20 crores. As on date, we have 16,566 employees, executives 4,300, and non-executives about 2,300. We have 4 subsidiaries: NLC, Tamil Nadu Power Limited, NDPL. There is NLC having 18% share, and Tanjasco 11%, and Naval Enterprise Power Limited, where we have NLC 12% and DPR 14%. And joint venture MNS Limited, MCL 70%, NL 16%, Endalco, where we won a coal block here in MCL area. MOA rating for last 3 years, we are excellent, 11 for excellent, 12, 13 excellent rating, and 14, 13, 14 not excellent provisional rating. We have awarded 4 coal blocks by Government of India, Pachwara South, having 1980 for a 98 megawatt Ghatampur power plant in UP, and Tilga Barpali block in Chhattisgarh, having reserves of 300 reserves. So by the end of 12th plan, we are having a program to go up to 6 billion tons. We will raise will go up to 6.6 million tons lignite capacity. And lignite-based power 3240, we are also entering into coal-based power 1000 megawatt, wind power 15 megawatt, and 20 megawatt of the solar power. And CSR, we are doing for the last so many decades. Otherwise, it's not possible to acquire land, particularly in the mining area. We require every year about 2 acres of land. Unless CSR is implemented, we cannot acquire lands. And that's how we used to have under the PDS scheme and R&R schemes, peripheral development scheme, and also R&R benefit scheme. Under this scheme, we are implementing the special activities. And now under CSR, we are going to implement further. And we have spent last year 1.8% of PAT against the norm of minimum of 0.5%. Performance in 3 years, if you see, we have, for last 3 years, we are on the growth path. And last year, we have achieved the highest generation of 19,900 million units against target of 18,900 million units. It was the highest without any capacity. Existing only we have efficiently performed and done this output generation. The lignite production also was the highest last year compared to all the 3 years, and we are on the growth path, and we have achieved 26.19 lakh tons. Earnings, rupees crores, so many, our total income has gone up to 6,900 crores last year, whereas our sales is 569.23 crores. And our net worth also is on the rising path. If you can see, from 11,000 plus crores, it has gone to 13,000 plus crores now. Almost 42 crores has come last year. Profit also, PBDIT is also increasing from 2485 to 2980 crores. Profit, PBIT, again is also increasing from 1983 to 2299 crores. And profit after tax, it is 1,411 crores in 2011-12, now it is 1,501 crores. Of course, the profit is not growing at the rate because of the high expenditure on the employee remuneration, wages, etc. There is also eating into this profits. And payment exchequer, what we are paying the government under different heads, particularly dividend on equity, etc. Totally we are paying on central excise, service tax, custom duty, corporate tax, dividend tax, all this comes to central government. We are paying 1,060 crores per annum. To state government we are paying totally we are paying about 1,040 crores both together for the state and central government. This is what almost more than the profit we are paying towards the taxes to the government. This is only a shareholder pattern where now 90% is the President of India and the balance 10% is only outside. Or outside also again 3.6% was purchased by Tamil Nadu state government itself, and other things are there, business companies, etc. So in the public, around 1.3% is already public. If you compare performance benchmarks for output per manship, if you see for the last 3 years we are growing compared to coal mines, which is average is 12.18 in the last 13-14, whereas NLC's open cast mines, OMS is 12.64. If we compare the plant load factor of thermal power generations, all India generation, if you see, the last year is 65.55, central sector thermal 76.11, lignite based power plant stations 7.63, and NLC's is coming to 83.19% of PLF. So we are also working, the PLF is much above the average of the Indian power plants, though its lignite is a very tough deposit, tough mining, and it's a low calorific fuel and high moisture it is. But even then, we are able to perform efficiently with this higher PLF. If you see lignite in the country, the share of lignite market share is around 60.12%, only NLC1 company in the entire country. And lignite based power also we are holding 60% of our share in lignite based power generation. And power tariffs, if you see, we are also coming in very least compared to other like NTPC and Tamil Nadu, what purchase they are getting the power. And NLC is only giving at 2.72 in 11-12 and 2.78 rupees in 12-13 and 2.98 in 13-14. Some of the least power charges we are getting in spite of the lignite mining being costly. The lignite stripping ratio is 1:7 to 1:11 it goes. But in spite of the tougher conditions, we are able to maintain this. And these are all the presently ongoing projects which are going to be commissioned very shortly. TSP expansion, going to 500 megawatt, likely to be commissioned. And coal-based at 20 This is a coal-based where I told you we are entered to coal base also. With a coal-based power plant, going to 500. So will be commissioned shortly within 2-3 months. And Naiveli Thermal Power Station, this is 500 megawatt. It is going to be commissioned in 2019. Already orders have been placed on BHEL and SR. It is going to commission. The future projects were about our Barsingsar, Rajasthan. We are going to have 2 more power plants there. That is Barsingsar Thermal Power Station and also Bidinoor Thermal Station, where we have another load of 500 megawatt there in that areas. Then coal-based Ghatampur is going to come up. We are going to expand the project at a cost about 14,300 crores. Here we got a coal block, but we are held up because of the forest clearance. It will become a mandatory for the power plant to have a linked coal block clearance. So Pachwara coal block allotted, but we held up for this thing. What is going on there? We are dealing by CIPDL. And to acquire the coal abroad, to meet our requirements of the coal, we are already importing some coal, and MSTC is our partner, where we are we have placed order recently for about importing the coal for LTPL requirement. Apart from that, we are also trying to acquire the coal assets abroad, wherein we have gone through a global expression of interest, and we have received some offers, and 3 countries, Mozambique, Indonesia, and Australia, are in the pipeline now. We are doing the technical and financial diligence, etc. In the CSB awards, so many awards we got. Mostly that is the award from the import directors. Main award we got is from the Mid-Trace Award on the Environment Excellence from the President of India. They received at Vignan Bhavan. And Best Overall Performance Award 13 by the Council of Power Utilities. And also we have got a National Conservation Energy Award for its mine 2013 by Ministry of Power from again from President of India. All these things are getting awards. CS also we got an award. Issues in setting up a mine, mainly land acquisition, the rehabilitation and resettlement of the displaced persons. This is a problem that is going to be faced. We have to face this problem because apart from competition, there is a demand for a permanent employment by the land givers. That makes it more difficult. And also, resources are already concentrated. Though in the country we have more than 42 billion tons of reserves, only 15% reserves are mineable with the open cast mining method. Balance 80% are very much in depth, about 200 to 500 meter depth. So with the existing technology of open cast mining, it's not possible. So we are trying to find out other methods. So deep seated limitation technology, and apart from that, there's a groundwater pressure is there. They have to do a lot of pumping and delays in obtaining environmental clearances. These are the issues which we are going to face. And coming to IT sector, we know that we are also entering into the IT sector. We are also going to have a ERP system. Already we have entered into 2 phases, HR and finance. Other areas also are going to be entered. And we are also having e-auctions. We are also having online intent system, that is right from the intent to the placement of order. We will having the totally is online, right from intent to the placement of order. That's called as OLIMS, online integrated management system, management system. That has been implemented in our NLC long back. Apart from that, even the HR, online we are doing the recruitment, application call for, application submission, everything is online. Only interim dates will be finalized based on the qualification, etc., what is mentioned in the advertisements. And e-auction of lignite, we are having small quantity of sales of lignite also. That is being done through MSTC, and now they are also going to supply as coal to our 2 different power plant. And we also got the bill watch system, wherein suppliers can watch their bills, what is the state of the bills, how much they have been paid, everything through online they can see. This is also being done in our NLC. So they got to IT assessment, something about the magazine here. I thought there are things I should tell, though it's not covered in this presentation. And then somebody I would say coal continues to be a major fuel source of power generation, and capital demand supply continues to widen. All of you know about this. and needs joint effort of government, power producers, coal miners and service providers to ensure modern and sufficient infrastructure of higher coal production and equal demand. Single window clearances should be implemented for both coal and power projects, support land acquisition and all other issues, to ensure timely and smooth completion, particularly to promote research and exploration activities on the new technologies like coal-bed methane and underground coal gasification. We are already in pipeline with the regarding UCG. We are having a lot of results in Ramanad area of Tamil Nadu, where there is a possibility of underground coal gasification. Recently, we went for a global tender and global expression of interest, and from US and from Russia and IIT Chennai jointly they participated. They are in the pipeline. And, thank you very much for the opportunity given to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the insights in the Ignite sector. Now I invite a dynamic leader and a young bureaucrat who is leading Bihar State Building Construction Corporation Limited and is determined to take it to the milestones. I invite Dr. Shri Ganga Kumar, actually Managing Director of Bihar State Building Construction Corporation Limited. Sir. Big hand for.
Good afternoon, respected dignitaries sitting on the dais, respected participants who has come across the country from the government side and from the private side, ladies and gentlemen. I will not take too much time because there are several smiling faces, they are not smiling, so I will just wrap up within 10 minutes so that, and I will just try to analyze, to explain what are the requirements of PSU, what are the challenges and how we can go ahead. And that will be directly linked with my organizations, especially Bihar State Building Construction Corporations and some of the sister organizations. Because my earlier friend has already explained about the PSU origins, I will not explain this one. Phases, he has already explained it, so he has made my time in a nicer way. So basically, the PSU means what? PSU means it will, at least at any point of time, will bridge the gap between the government and the market. And most important, it will lead for the better Indian economy. So of course, building, if you see the smart city buildings, good infrastructures, good road, that will directly link with that place, that state, that country, that region, each economically empowered state or country or maybe the region. So mathematically, because I am a student of mathematics and statistics, so I have taken into this, the building will be directly proportional to the development and that will lead to the Indian economy. So these sectors where I have taken several constants, several factors who determine, who at any point of time influence the factors of building sectors or Indian economy sectors or any PSU sector. State policy, they will have to take care of the entire pricing decisions, managerials, land reforms, especially in building sectors, materials, pricing factors. These are the highly influencing factors which can be taken care by the state government itself. Labor resources also, because in Bihar, in the last 10 years, you will see the migrant labor, they had already gone down, but because of the pricing factors and the more market demand in the private sector as well as the government sector for building infrastructure, this has increased slightly higher side. Financial mobility transactions, environmental sustainability, materials available in the area, law and order situations, and the demand and supply for the building sector or any other sectors. If we make more buildings and the supply side is less, as we have seen in the last 1 to 2 years in even India also, that will not suffice to create better economic environment in any state. Role of public sectors, foundations. This will lead the strong foundation stage for industrial development, and of course the PSU will have the major responsibility after 1st April 2014, when the Indian Company Act 1961 has been revised, the CSR activities, where we can bridge the gap between the government side and from the private side. And I think in our state, in general, whole country in general, and especially in our state, several organizations, PSU organizations, they are trying to enhance their financial agenda, financial envelope for betterment of the all corporate social responsibility activities. Leverage to the organizations, agriculture, economy, these are the sectors where PSU plays a major role. Balancing regional development, in Bihar you see the 4-5 different kind of regional development. So this CSR and the PSU, where there is requirement more for the slighter, lower performing districts or regions, the PSU plays a major role. Public exchequer support, of course, is provide the more funds to the government that can be utilized for any activities, employment generations and capital goods. These are the sectors where PSU plays the major roles. Foreign earnings, because in Bihar, Indian International Convention Center, more than I think 700 crore, Bihar Museum 400 crore, agriculture crore 600 crores, major national and international stakeholders, they are participating. And several other organizations in building sector, agriculture sectors, energy sectors, with the help of all PSU, mostly PSU. We have road development corporations, bridge corporations, building construction corporation, educational infrastructure corporations. These all are the major stakeholders of the government of Bihar who play the major role, and we are providing for all those kind of activities. Import substitutions, because there are so many big organizations, Navratra, in the government of India. So we are also trying to learn from them how we can go ahead in those organizations, and research and development. Opportunities, these are some of the opportunities which we have explained on our earlier friend and speakers also. Rate of economic development will always grow. This will give the opportunity where we can reach, where PSU can be helpful, pattern of resource mobilizations, and the public enterprises. Regional disparities, as I have already explained it, this will also help to marginalize the regional disparities. Profits that can be used for the different kind of activities for the government and the public sector also. And of course the socialistic pattern of the society. If Bihar has more than 40% where the we live in below poverty line, that can be the profits of the any PSU that can be helpful for minimizing those kind of disparity in our state. These are some of the challenges for PSU which I have explained. Business model. We do so many works, but we don't have that much business model where we can work. Ultimate objective of the PSU is to do business. So somebody will have to make some business, and for business or for any management kind of activities, we should have the good vision. And I always consider 5 parts: vision, planning, execution, supervision and rectification. If we fail in any of these parts, we will not survive and we can't do good business models. Collegium, I have explained several times on several platforms, so many Navratnas in Government of India, and we will request, sir, that the Government of India should take care of that. The collegium, there should be some collegium system for PSU, where our senior PSU, they explain something, they invite something to the law organizations, they visualize, they give vision to the state government PSU, that will be helpful for the state government also. At least we can see at day-to-day basis their achievements, their timelines, their feasibilities and their problems. Utilizations of CSR funds, that we should also explain in the different kind of activities where we can utilize those funds. Apart from these overcapitalizations, and these are our challenges, I will also overstaffing. Some of the organization in our state where we have 600 people, and 4 crore annual turnover. In my organizations, when I had joined in 2009, it was 14 crore. We have just only 14 crore project, and it was the loss-making organizations. Since inception, in the last 5 years, they have won just 3 crore. After 2009, when we have joined, just with the help of small things as we have explained, active participations, minimizing overstaffing, at the same time to requirement for the different participations, business modules, customers, clients, these all we have taken into consideration, and always on the basis of, as on date, we have 3,900 crore of total project outlay, and our profit has gone more than 100 times in last 2 years. So these are the sectors we have already discussed. I will request all PSU that we should generate some good leaders, L4, L1, L2, L3, the kind of leaders. We may be one of the good leaders. The problem with the PSU, if good managing director and good chairman come managing director, they can lead. They can give vision for the organizations. But due to somehow, I don't know why, they are not able to generate the good leaders below there, so that the sudden downfall comes in that organization. So we will request that there should be at least 2-3 layers of good leaders who can give and who can visualize for their betterment of their organization. CSR policy, real-time management system. I have always explained that even in my organizations, we have gone for the entire real-time management system, where if I have to pay any contractors, they have to give MB will upload on the website, on the real-time management system website, and automatically that will generate money, and that money will go from my corporations through different regional units. These are some of the, of course, government of financing sectors we have taken from the government of India side. With the help of NIC and several other organizations, we are trying to do all those kind of things. And at last, we will request, as our Honorable Prime Minister has always said, अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं, so we will do good work so that our nation, especially in our PSU sectors, arise, visualize, and imbibe good qualities that can be valuable for better Indian economy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing innovative ideas. And we have been there in Bihar. We have seen your work, and congratulations for you to leading the construction sector. And now the last speaker, but never the least, a man with 32 years of experience, a hardcore technology professional coming from a land of bravery, Rajasthan. I invite Shri A.K. Jain Sahab, Managing Director, Rajasthan Electronics and Instruments Limited, Jaipur, to address the audience. A big hand for Mr. Jain.
Ladies on the dais and off the dais, I am valuing you more because you have been patiently listening all of us. A big challenge to me that I am the last speaker, so but I'll try to finish in 9 minutes, right? 1 minute I have already taken. PSUs, I'll say yes, शान है आज देश की. I think this one word is good enough. Yesterday we heard a lot in India during function, as Chavisa was saying. Our company was also awarded for R&D. The company REIL, Rajasthan Electronics Instruments Limited, it's a 3-decade-old company. It started with manufacturing of an instrument electronic milk tester, which was to play a critical role of percentage fat measurement in milk. I would like to be a native on this story. The percentage fat measurement of milk, right? So when this issue was addressed technically by our organization of converting a Danish technology to be used Indian way from the price of 3 lakhs to 25,000 way back in 1982, and we started this journey to the customers in Gujarat, the land of milk in India, the branch of Amul. And you will be surprised to know that we are in almost all the towns, all the village, and daily testing the milk on a daily in the morning and evening. And whatever milk reaches to you, it is tested by Arya milk tester. You will be surprised at how a company can maintain the same instrument over 3 decades. The company has a very strong R&D. Company has used a lot of IP into that. Company has developed 43 variants of just one product, which the technology we bought from a European company. So this is what PSU has to do. And Arya is the largest milk analyzer manufacturer in the world today. India is the largest milk producer in the world. India became largest world milk producer in the year of 2000. And it is still, after 14 years, the largest milk producer. So this is what the strength of PSU is. I was interacting with Dr. Kurian 10 years before when I was dreaming to head this company. He gave me two mantras. Keep your price low, make your quality affordable, not the best one, affordable, and produce volumes. Never give up things. Look on those things which are really need of the hour, need of the country, and can really convert the beneficiary, the stakeholder, in really economic terms. As Ariel was having a focus in the rural areas, we diversified into renewable energy and we set up a world-class module manufacturing line. And we did from design to implementation, now consulting also, and we did all kind of photovoltaic projects in the country, and we were most of the time the first ones. So when the PSU or even private, you should always align your objectives with the need of the country, with the economy of the country, with the stakeholders' business, how the business is happening, where the economy is going, how the economy is growing. So one has to align on these things. And I proudly say in our other sector also that Arya has done so far in the last 3 decades, 5 megawatt, and we have a presence in at 2 lakh locations across the country, and from watts to kilowatts to megawatts, we have done around 2.5 lakh systems. And you'll be surprised that solar photovoltaic also. I'm proud to say that Arya has been earning profit, and it is coming only from people. There is no magic that company has done. So my point is, if you keep your things transparent, traceable, you make your customer dependable on you, if you are honest to the customer, if you are honest to the employees, you use the technology, you go ahead with the changing time, there is no reason why the PSU will not perform. The most important thing, the MOU rating, Chaubey Sahab has mentioned. It's a very important tool for a PSU because it takes care of your each and every quality. If you are trying to attempt that, just 3 years before, I could see in my company that we are not doing any export. And when I was negotiating with the task force committee, they said that because you are not doing any export, why don't you leave this parameter? I said no. Let me have it just for 3 crores. And you'll be surprised, after 2 years we did it. So this is what the MOU gives us. And our rating, it ultimately contributes in performance-related pay as well. When we earn profit, we distribute it amongst employees. So the MOU rating is a very good thing, and I proudly say that last year, Arya works under Department of Heavy Industry, and there are 40 PSUs, only few PSUs are profit making, and REL happens to be one of those. For last 3 years, we have grown many times, almost 3 times in terms of top line and 5 times in terms of bottom line. And REL happened to be the only excellent rated company incidentally last year. So that way REL has been doing quite well, and we have been awarded for national energy conservation and many more. Incidentally, our parent company and CMD, Ishwar, is also sitting here, and we have been sharing a lot of ideas. He's also working very hard in bringing the IL to again become the leader as it was way before. Another good example of what PSUs can do together, we saw a dream of creating world's largest solar photovoltaic power plant, 4,000 megawatt in Rajasthan, which nobody could think even. And what we did, we talked to Power Grid. REL is a small company, we hardly have an equity of 12 crore and we have a turnover of 240 crore. But we aligned with Hindustan Salts, who has the land. We aligned with Power Grid, who can do the transmission work. We aligned with SJVNL, who is already into power. We aligned with BHEL. So the industry, which is of the size of 20,000 crore, can be created, and a backward integration can also be done by creating a crystalline facility. So this is what PSU can do. That project is on way, and let's see how things take shape. I'll not make my speech too long. But 3 things which I see is very, very important in today's scenario. That is economic, energy and efficiency. I tell you, energy is going to be the business of future. And whether private or public or the individual or the family, everybody should get into this business. If you see the energy requirement in the country, I'll not narrate the figures because a lot of figures are already in the media and everybody probably must be aware of that. But I'll just say that solar photovoltaic alone, which is a dependable technology today, and if it uses the solar space, whether land or the roof, it can generate 1 lakh megawatt, it's 100 gigawatt, which is 3 times of Germany, which they did in last 3 years, 36 gigawatt. If we just use our roofs, that too not all the roofs, just the 20% of the roofs whatever is available in the country, it can generate 56 gigawatts. So you can just see that, and now the solar photovoltaic generation is almost at par with whatever is the tariff, and the tariffs are increasing. So you're even the solar space, the roof can also be used for giving you some money. So these are the few things. So I'll not because I know the time is short. So and there was we also had many challenges, but recently we had a challenge. One European partner said bye-bye to us, and they said that India now is having a lot of opportunity. So we will work directly. Moment he said so, I spoke to our secretary. He said yes, it is going to happen, and you have to compete. I talked to my R&D group. I talked to Siri, I talked to IIT Bombay that I want one product which is a challenge to this company. In fact, the European company was bringing a product to the country which measures the adulterant in the milk. I think many people are aware of the adulterants in the milk. And REL launched a product after 1 year of time which was at 1/3 of the price, was having 3 more parameters which is more relevant to our country. And the business was almost expected business was something 2,000, 3,000 crore, maybe in a year, maybe 10 years or 15 years. So what we need to do is that we as a PSU can talk to anybody, even can talk to private. Only thing we should clear in identification of the need, clear how to transform that need into a product or service, and should be clear how it can be taken to the masses. With this, I close my talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing with us the insights and whatever is happening in the electronics instrument industry in Rajasthan especially. Thank you very much. Now I request our President, Dr. MP Narayanan, to present mementos to all the eminent speakers. We'll send them, definitely. So, please. A big round of applause for our eminent guests. We are very glad that they presented such good speeches and shared their experiences and their leadership secrets with us. Yes, Dr. U.D. Chaube, Director General SCO. We are very thankful of you, sir, for making it and sharing your leadership experiences with us. Then Mr. B. Surendra Mohan, Chairman and Managing Director, Navy Lignite Corporation Limited. Thank you very much, sir, for being here and inspiring us. And Navy Lignite Corporation Limited is also a PSU partner with this summit, and we are very thankful to him for extending this support to us. Now, a very dynamic leader and always supportive in our initiatives and always encouraging us, and a self-encouraged person and doing great work in Bihar. A big round of applause for Mr. Ganga Kumar. And then a person from land of Thar, Shri A.K. Jain Sahab, Managing Director, Rajasthan Electronics Instruments Limited. So we are very thankful for you to be here and sharing experiences. Quickly, a group photo we will request. For a group photo, and then we'll move towards the next session directly after this session. That will be on leveraging information technology for boosting efficiency. It will be a discussion on how PSUs are leveraging IT for making operations more efficient and transparent, and how private sector is delivering those services and solutions to PSUs. Then we'll wrap up this session by 2 o'clock, and then